And the pottery that's found, which is by far the most common discovery on archaeological site is pottery, is put into these buckets. They fill them with water, and once you make it back to the kibbutz and you are able to shower and get cleaned up, you head out to wash pottery. So your afternoons on the dig is usually spent sitting around talking in circles and scrubbing pottery. Again, it's a great opportunity to get to know people on the dig, whoever's there from different parts of the world. Pottery is extremely important because it's by far the most common technique used in dating. Lots of ways to date material. I used to have a section of the manuscript called dating techniques. It was one of the more popular parts, especially for single people. But they were kind of disappointed because it's not about techniques in dating people. It's about how they date artifacts. And you've probably heard of carbon-14, right? Radiocarbon dating, or radiometric techniques based upon decay rates and so on. Even though that's a powerful technique, it's very rarely used because you have to have very particular situations to use it in terms of organic material that's discovered without any kind of contamination. But more than that, it's very expensive. There's also something called dendrochronology or dendrochronology, which is tree rings. Also obsidian hydration, where they measure the hydrated layer in volcanic glass and man-made glass. What are some other? Oh, there's a King's List, where they have a long list of kings. You find the Egyptian records in the Bible or a King's List in the Bible, King's List, where they list kings and how long they ruled. Yes, there is in the Bible. And so if you find an artifact in a site that has the name of that king on it, right, then you can date it. So the point is there's lots of different dating techniques that archaeologists use, but this technique is by far the most common and probably the most exact. It's called PotteyChronology or ceramics chronology. And there are people, I can't remember her name, I think it may be Diana, but there are people who have dedicated their whole life to learning pottery types and how they determine certain periods of time. And it's true that through time, pottery develops in different regions and a particular cycle. And so a particular distinct type of pottery can represent a particular time. What drives that? Can you guess? Why pottery appears as a particular type over a whole region very quickly so it can measure a time layer, time strata?
Fashion.
Fashion, exactly right. It's fashion. It's just that human beings, it's about humans, right? Archaeology is about the debris that we leave behind, and we've always been creatures of fashion, right? If I came in bell-bottoms today and a big butterfly collar and puffy sleeves, and maybe some platform shoes and feathered hair on either side with a lot of hairspray feathered back central part, then you would know what time I'm from, right? I'm from the 70s. I'm ready to go disco. You see what I'm saying? And you guys aren't wearing bell-bottoms and cuffs and platform shoes, are you? Because you're not from the 70s. So you see what I'm talking about? It's the same way in the past. And so there are particular types of pottery that are important to different times. I often think about going back to my elementary school and digging in the playground, because I can remember second and third grade. I remember the marbles. Everyone had to have the clearies in second grade. And then in fifth grade, it was the big quartz, the big giant marbles and so on. But I can remember that cycle of fashions. And so if we're digging in the playground at my grade school, as I'm digging down and I'm finding those different sized marbles, I can put a date on that layer, right? Because I remember that was second grade when that type of marble was in style. Well, that's what pottery chronologists do. They've spent their whole life recognizing that sequence of fashions that have developed. And they are able to identify certain strata or certain suites of artifacts, groups of artifacts. And so see how she's taking and putting them in different places here? See that? I should have got a picture later after she finished, because every piece right there she's put together in little piles. And in her mind, that's different suites of ceramics that represent a particular time or different times. All right? And I've been told that in certain time periods, pottery chronology can get you within 20 years. So you can measure time within 20 years accuracy, which is really, you're not going to get anywhere close to that with the other techniques, other than dendrochronology. But dendrochronology, tree chronology, is restricted to just areas where they have very old trees, where you can create that pattern. After the pottery is cleaned and separated, then it's put back into bags, which show the different suites. Pottery, where they have lots of examples of it, they don't need it because you don't have enough storage for the pottery. They'll just throw it out back. And so for the volunteers, this is a nice place to go, right? Because all of this you can take home with you, free for the taking. Look at that. That's a handle. See it? I think I got that one. There's another handle. Here's the handle.